Instagram, and hello, LinkedIn. How are you? I hope you're well. You're having a lovely time wherever you are in the world. I'm coming to you from Belgium today. As you can see, this is not my usual place. I'm actually staying with my close friends from 100 years ago when we met when we were traveling in South Asia. And we stayed connected over years. And now I'm here staying with them. I've asked everyone at home to be quiet. Kids have gone to school, and I have a place to myself. And I can come and say hi and keep my promise to myself that for 2 years, every Tuesday, I'm going to go live at 6 o'clock Sydney time. It's 9 o'clock here in Belgium, but yes, I've been able to keep my promise so far. Today's topic is common versus normal. And you would think, why would you talk about this one? It's not a common topic. Of course, it's not. Um, I'm going to talk about the difference in definition of these two, and as a leader, when it comes helpful to know what these two words are used, and they will help you a lot with decision makings. So we're going to go into details of that. Who is this conversation for? Senior managers that they want to get to higher profile roles. If you know, this is my passion topic. This is something that I work a lot with people that they are good at what they do, they are solid, they are experienced, and they want to now land higher profile roles. And when I say higher profile roles, I don't mean necessarily bigger pay. There could be projects or pieces or initiatives that they are bigger and they are more sensitive and they are more impactful. Or simply, there's nothing wrong with saying, I want a bigger pay. No shame, go for it. I'm a person that is completely unapologetic about that. The second group that will benefit from understanding, making this distinction between common and normal, are seasoned professionals, that they are really experienced in the craft and their skill set. And now they want to go towards management roles. So far, they've been about the quality of what they deliver, and they've been really sharpening their skills. And you know that everyone knows they know, and everyone knows that they know their stuff. And now it's about stepping into more leadership and managerial roles and having other team members working with them so they can transfer their knowledge to them. This third group that would benefit from this conversation and knowing this distinction are senior leaders that are already in C-level positions, CEOs, CPOs, and I specifically talk about C-suite that they are not HR, they are not human resources, they are not people and culture. Because those individuals, those professionals, they know a lot about this. I work mostly with CXOs that they are solid in, for example, data analytics, technology, finance, and they want to now add a layer of managing, stepping into leadership roles that are not so much about their craft and their specialty. So the third group, leaders that they are not in people-related roles, would benefit from this when they want to change the architecture and DNA of the culture of their organization. Something funny. I've worked with more than 1,000 senior managers and leaders, at least 400 or 500 executives in these roles over the last 4 or 5 years. And after conversations about money and budget and expansion and new acquisition and all those solid conversations are over, immediately after that, the conversation becomes about, okay, our people, what do we need to do? And what are the changes that we need to introduce, and how fast and how and in what fashion? I know you're going to say, oh, sharing people need to be first topic, but this is reality currently. So once they've done all those analytical analysis and decision making and all those work is done, now it's about people. And always, this is something that I always work, and you know that this is the core of my work when it comes to leadership, is about redesigning the corporate land, because the methods that we have in management, they belong to industrial era. They sometimes go further back to slavery time, and we've inherited those methods to manage our work. So now if we want to change our corporate environment, this construct that we have, as you know, corporate land is an abstract concept. It's not real. So we can redesign it. And if we want to redesign it and create more human organizations, we need to make a lot of decisions and make a lot of changes based on understanding of humans and how they operate. And connecting that to the decisions that we make, the concept of biases comes up a lot. So one of the things that will stop us from, or prevent us somewhat from having biases, is understanding, is this thing common or is this normal? Let's go into the definition of those two. Normal, and comparing something with assessing something if it's normal or not, is based on the standards that's been set. Doesn't matter where the standards coming, not topic of that conversation, but normal is based on a comparison of predefined standard. So you compare with that. If it's up to that level, yeah, it's normal. If it falls into that range, yes, it's normal. You see this one in blood test. If it's in a certain range, you're good. If it's not, probably something is off and we need to make adjustment into our diet or lifestyle or do something about it. So comparison with the standards, predefined standards, will give you normal. Common, on the other hand, is about frequency of something, all right? How many people in a sample pool are falling into a certain category? So that's about numbers. So you might be absolutely a normal person, but not very common. Or a person with certain characteristics is totally normal person, but it's not a very common type personality. Why is it important? 2 reasons. Firstly, when you are doing hiring or forming teams or re-architecting DNA of culture of your organization, we need to hire people. Or we need to start reinforcing and embedding new behaviors, new language in the organization. So knowing what is currently common in our organization and what is it that we want to change it to, that's the time that we start asking, okay, now we need to change something. We need to hire new people. We need to highlight and recognize certain behaviors that they are not so common in our organization, and we need to improve that and increase that. Let me give you an example because this will come to light a lot better with example. I was working in a consulting firm that had a very aggressive and to the point frank culture. It is a valuable trait for people to be able to simply and directly make their point. And this is coming from low context cultures, that they will say what they believe in a simple way and direct. However, the challenge was this was becoming aggressive and was not considering other aspects or all types of personalities that we had in our organization. And this needed to be changed because it somewhat was impacting our customers as well. Not directly, but they were observing how we interact with each other inside the organization. So we were changing the ways of working, and of course, ways of working has very little to do with the process. It's about people and how they operate in their systems. So one of the things that we needed to do is to find out what is really common here and what is it that we want to bring. And that's where I always bring the concept of what is the culture add versus the culture match. Because if you want to hire based on culture match, well, you will end up getting more. Well, we needed to look at for something that for people that they are more softer spoken, with less, not introvert, but more calculated and more sensitive to what's going on around them and the person that is sitting across the table, and find those type personalities that become a culture add to what we have, and place them on more senior positions so they can change the DNA of the culture. Because if we bring these people that they are normal, but they are not common in this organization, what we will do is, and we place them under those people that they had aggressive and frank and direct, we would never be able to change the DNA of organization. So throughout our interview, one of the things that we were worried is that, well, if we hire so and so, the team will eat them alive. That was true, because the teams that we had, they were solid in what they were doing, but they would just eat these guys alive. And that was the change that we introduced. And that was a conscious decision to bring people with different type of personality, that they are not very common here, to come in senior positions to change the culture of the organization. So you see, we had to work on one specific bias that we had, and we had to break what is common here, and then bring some people that they are normal, they still do the job and they are solid in terms of their expertise, but there was something different that we were injecting into the organization. And we placed them in senior roles so they could embed the change. By naturally being in those positions. This is the first case of understanding what's common, what's normal. The other thing, another example that I briefly mentioned, is that I was working in banks, and anytime that I was suggesting a new way of working, I mostly was hearing from people that but that's how we do things in the bank. Firstly, I'm quite sensitive to this sentence. The fact that we've been doing something for 100 years doesn't mean anything. We are in a position of changing it. This mentality that this bank or this institute has power over us itself is quite a dangerous one. But my point to them was, okay, so what I'm suggesting is not common. I get it. There are 50,000 people in this organization, and what I'm suggesting is not very common. But is that okay? So is it normal thing that I'm saying? Is it like feasible? Is it based on standards of management? Am I crazy, or is that no? What you're saying is right. It's just not common here. I'm like, okay, so let's change it. By separating normal or being up to certain standards or being logical versus being common, you'll be able to ease things into change. I know you can simply phrase things. I know it's not very common, but that's why we are here. We are the leaders of this organization, so we are in position to change what's currently there. And that would kind of help people to accept that they are doing something which is normal but not very common, so let's give it a try and go ahead. The second case of knowing the benefit of knowing, making this distinction between common and normal, is when it comes to self-leadership. And I use this one quite a lot, both for myself and for my clients. A lot of times when we want to do something, we are doing something that is new we haven't done it before, and a lot of people around us haven't done it before either. So it's not a common thing. But I am a normal person, and also doing this one is quite normal thing to do. It's not, it's not, it's not something really crazy. It's just uncommon. This knowing this for myself and helping my clients making certain decisions for their lives and for their professional lives is part of defining and redefining our leadership identity. It allows us to make certain decisions and do things that we probably haven't done so far. Because it's normal, but if you look at my track record, my history, it's not very common. But I can do it. I will do it. Look, I've done it. So then it becomes common, and then it becomes part of our identity as a leader. The work that I do in Executive Elevate program is one aspect of it is executive identity, leadership identity. And in that space, we work a lot on redefining ourselves. It's great to know ourselves. If you look at the leadership, all the tests and assessments, they will always talk about like Myers-Briggs. There are so many of them, Gallup, so many of them, that they will assess and analyze who you are. They're great, but not enough. After a certain point, I want to know, okay, how can I change this? Because the way we are currently is the cards that we've been dealt and a series of events throughout our life that brought us here. But I would like to be able to change a lot of things. And the work that I do is about redefining, reinventing, refining ourselves, our identity. And it's a very practical program because I believe theory is good, but not enough. So if you are interested in this work and want to go for higher profile role, higher impact role, I definitely invite you to book a leadership audit call. These calls are short, but they follow a certain method that they will basically give you clarity based on where you want to go and what are your milestones. They will give you clarity as what are your blockers, what are your opportunities, and what are your actions. If you know me, if you've ever worked with me, or if you've read my content on social media or ever, you would know I'm always about actions. If you take them or not is up to you, but I would never suggest a theory without saying, okay, what to do with it. Because once it goes from our brain to hands or our body, it becomes part of us. And then we can decide, do we want to keep it or do we let it go and we have something else? So in leadership audit calls, you would get a clarity as where you want to go, what are your blockers, and what are your opportunities, and a set of actions. So they're quite powerful and they are very short as well. So definitely book those calls if you are interested, and the link should be somewhere on social media. If not, just ping me. It's how we can definitely connect, and I would love that. And I want to close this conversation by closing the loop and connecting all the points together. We started the conversation for knowing the difference between common and normal. Normal was something that was based on standards, predefined standards, and normally is based on a range and says something is acceptable or not. And common is based on frequency. Something might be normal, but it's not very common. So making the distinction has two benefits. One is managing and changing the environment that we have. Second one is for ourselves as the leaders of our life. And in my case, and in this context of this conversation, our professional life, our jobs, is about the ability to do things in a different way, though we haven't done that previously because it hasn't been really common for us. But it's totally normal. And that is self-leadership. And if you want to work more on that, we definitely going to book a call and we're going to explore what is related to your work and where you are in your career. And then we are going to close the call by saying, thank you so much for joining me. This conversation, common versus normal, is one of my favorite ones, and it comes up quite often. Just check this week, see how many times you would need this distinction. It's a fun one. Ask people, oh, is it common or normal? And you will see. It's not a very known distinction, but it's helpful. All right, my friend. Well, I'm in Belgium. It's an overcast day. However, I'm going to go out and see the beautiful city. And I will see you soon. Next Tuesday, same time, same place, somewhat in front of same laptop. And have a lovely, lovely day wherever you are. Bye.